The Young and the Restless. Spoilers. Thurdays. Full January 23, 2025. The mysterious Cole had been mentioned many times in the tangled web of Genoa City's drama, but his absence from the forefront only deepened the mystery surrounding him. Once a close confidant of Jordan, Cole had long retreated from the chaos of his past, choosing instead to live a quiet, reclusive life. His cabin on the outskirts of the city was a sanctuary, a place where he could find solace away from the betrayals and schemes that once defined his world. But the peace Cole fought so hard to preserve was on the verge of shattering. News of Jordan's increasingly reckless actions reached him through whispers and rumors. It wasn't like her to be this unhinged, this desperate. And it wasn't like Jordan to target someone like Victor Newman without a deeply personal reason. Cole knew the woman better than anyone, her strengths, her vulnerabilities, and most importantly, her secrets. One evening, as he sat by the fire with a glass of scotch in hand, the weight of his thoughts became too much to bear. He couldn't stay silent any longer. Jordan's path of destruction wouldn't stop until someone intervened, and Cole realized that person had to be him. The buried truth. Cole confronted Jordan in a secluded spot near the city limits, choosing a place where they wouldn't be overheard. As he approached her, she turned sharply, her eyes narrowing. "Cole," she said, her voice filled with a mix of surprise and irritation. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," Cole replied, his tone firm. "I've been hearing things, Jordan. About Victor, about Claire. What's going on?" Jordan's face hardened. "It's none of your business." "It is my business," Cole said, stepping closer. "I know you, Jordan. This isn't just about revenge or power. This is personal. And I think it's time you told me the truth." For a moment, Jordan hesitated, the mask of control she wore slipping ever so slightly. Finally, she sighed, the fight momentarily leaving her. "You want to know why I hate Victor so much," she said bitterly. "It's because he destroyed my life. He took everything from me, my career, my reputation, my family. And he did it without a second thought." Cole frowned, the pain in her voice cutting through him. "Jordan, you can't keep living in the past. What he did was terrible, but this isn't the way to fix it." Jordan's eyes flashed with anger. "You think I want to fix it?" "No, Cole. I want him to pay." Victor's involvement. Unbeknownst to Jordan, Victor Newman had started to piece together the puzzle of her vendetta. When Cole finally approached him, the confrontation was tense. "Victor," Cole said, his voice steady but firm. "We need to talk." Victor regarded him with a wary expression. "Cole, it's been a long time. What brings you out of hiding?" "This isn't about me," Cole replied. "It's about Jordan. She's coming for you, and it's because of something you did to her years ago." Victor's brow furrowed. "Jordan? What's she talking about?" Cole hesitated, knowing the weight of what he was about to reveal. "You ruined her life, Victor. And now she's determined to ruin yours." Victor's face darkened as the memories resurfaced. He hadn't thought about Jordan in years, but the guilt and arrogance of his past were hard to ignore. "I didn't know she still carried that grudge," he said quietly. "But I'll deal with it." "Do more than deal with it," Cole urged. "Fix it. Before it's too late." Kyle's discovery. Meanwhile, Kyle Abbott had begun to notice Claire's increasingly erratic behavior. She was distracted, evasive, and often disappeared without explanation. At first, he chalked it up to stress, but his suspicions grew when he caught her in a heated phone conversation late one night. Determined to uncover the truth, Kyle started following Claire. What he discovered sent a chill down his spine. Claire was meeting with Jordan, and it wasn't a casual acquaintance, they were working together. Kyle watched from a distance as Claire handed Jordan a folder, her expression tense. He couldn't hear their conversation, but their body language told him everything he needed to know. This wasn't a one-time meeting. Claire was deeply involved in whatever scheme Jordan was plotting. Kyle's fear when Kyle confronted Claire, his voice trembled with a mixture of anger and fear. "Claire, what's going on? I saw you with Jordan. What are you hiding from me?" Claire's eyes widened, panic flickering across her face. "Kyle, it's not what you think, then tell me the truth," Kyle demanded. "Why are you meeting with her? What are you planning?" Claire hesitated, her mind racing for an explanation that wouldn't make things worse. But Kyle saw through her silence. "You're working with her," he said, his voice breaking. "You're part of this." "Kyle, listen to me," Claire pleaded. "It's complicated." "It's always complicated with you," Kyle snapped. "I trusted you, Claire. I loved you. And now I don't even know who you are." Claire reached for him, but Kyle stepped back, his eyes filled with hurt. "Whatever you're doing with Jordan, it's going to come out. And when it does, don't expect me to stand by you." The fallout with the truth about Jordan and Claire's partnership slowly coming to light, the tension in Genoa City reached a boiling point. Victor prepared to confront Jordan, determined to right the wrongs of his past, while Kyle struggled with the betrayal of the woman he thought he knew. Cole, caught between loyalty to his old friend and his desire for peace, found himself at a crossroads. He knew that Jordan's vendetta would only lead to more pain, but stopping her meant betraying the trust they once shared. As for Claire, she stood on the brink of losing everything. Her relationship with Kyle, her place in the Newman family, and the carefully constructed life she had built. And deep down, she knew that when the dust settled, nothing would ever be the same. The stage is set, the pieces were in place, the players ready. In Genoa City, secrets never stayed hidden for long, and the consequences of betrayal were always swift and merciless. For Jordan, Claire, Cole, Kyle, and Victor, the storm was just beginning, and no one would emerge unscathed. Nikki's uneasy Nikki Newman paced the grand living room of the Newman estate, her hands trembling as she replayed her conversation with Claire in her mind. Something about her step-granddaughter's demeanor had felt off, too calculated, too distant. Claire's plans to fix the family's troubles were presented with an air of confidence, but to Nikki, they felt more like a ticking time bomb. Sitting down with a glass of wine, Nikki tried to piece it all together. Claire had claimed she wanted to protect the family, but her methods seemed extreme, almost ruthless. And then there was her association with Jordan, a woman with a reputation for manipulation and chaos. Nikki had seen enough betrayals in her life to recognize the signs. Her heart ached at the thought of confronting Victor, but she knew she couldn't ignore the unease clawing at her. If Claire's plans backfired, the Newman family could face irreparable damage. A confession to Victor that evening, Nikki found Victor in his study, reviewing documents with his signature intensity. The sight of her husband brought her a fleeting sense of reassurance, but the weight of what she had to say quickly brought her back to reality. "Victor," she began, her voice hesitant. He looked up, his sharp eyes immediately noticing her distress. "Nikki, what's wrong?" She sat down across from him, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "It's Claire. I don't trust her." Victor frowned, setting his papers aside. "What are you talking about?" "Claire is family." "Is she?" Nikki countered, her voice trembling. "Because she doesn't act like it. I've been watching her, Victor. She's working with Jordan, and whatever they're planning, it isn't good for us." Victor's expression darkened. "Jordan," he repeated, his tone heavy with disdain. "That woman has been nothing but trouble. Why would Claire align herself with someone like that?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out," Nikki admitted. "But we need to be careful. Claire isn't the person we thought she was." Victor's evaluation. Victor leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. He had always prided himself on his ability to read people, but Claire had slipped under his radar. Her charm, intelligence, and supposed loyalty to the family had lulled him into a false sense of security. But now, with Nikki's warnings ringing in his ears, Victor began to see the cracks in Claire's facade. Her erratic behavior, her secretive meetings, her alliance with Jordan, it all pointed to one conclusion: Claire couldn't be trusted. Victor, Nikki said softly, breaking through his thoughts. What are we going to do? Victor's jaw tightened. We watch her closely. If she's a threat to this family, we'll deal with her the way we always deal with threats. Nikki nodded, though the weight of his words made her heart heavy. I just hope it's not too late. Claire's divided loyalties, unaware of the growing suspicion around her, Claire continued to navigate the delicate balance of her double life. Her meetings with Jordan had become more frequent, and the pressure to deliver results was mounting. But Claire was conflicted. She had come to Genoa City to build a better life, to be part of the Newman family, and to create a future with Kyle. Yet, her partnership with Jordan threatened to unravel everything. She didn't know who she was anymore, a loyal Newman or a schemer playing both sides. One evening, as she sat alone in her apartment, Claire's phone buzzed. It was a message from Jordan. We need to accelerate the plan. Newman's watching us. Don't screw this up. Claire stared at the screen, her chest tightening. She felt trapped, like a pawn in a game she no longer controlled. But walking away wasn't an option, not with everything at stake. Victor's confrontation. Victor didn't waste time. Armed with the information Nikki had provided, he arranged a meeting with Claire under the guise of a casual family dinner. But his intentions were far from benign. As they sat in the dining room, Victor's piercing gaze never left Claire. He watched her closely, studying her every move, every word. Claire, he said finally, breaking the tension. How have you been? Claire smiled nervously. I've been fine. Just busy with work and other things. Other things, Victor repeated, his tone deceptively casual. Care to elaborate? Claire hesitated, her pulse quickening. Just some personal projects I've been working on. Victor leaned forward, his expression hardening. Are these personal projects something I should be concerned about? The room fell silent. Claire felt the weight of his words, the unspoken accusation hanging in the air. She forced a smile, trying to mask her fear. Of course not. Everything I do is for the good of this family. Victor didn't respond immediately, letting the tension build. Finally, he leaned back in his chair, a faint smirk playing on his lips. Good. Because if I find out otherwise, there will be consequences. Kyle's discovery. Meanwhile, Kyle's suspicions about Claire had reached a breaking point. He had been tracking her movements for days, and what he discovered left him reeling. Claire's connection to Jordan was undeniable, and their plans, whatever they were, posed a direct threat to the Newmans. One night, Kyle followed Claire to an abandoned warehouse where she met with Jordan. From the shadows, he watched as they exchanged documents and spoke in hushed tones. This has to stop, Kyle muttered to himself. She's putting everyone at risk. The storm brewing with Victor, Nikki, and Kyle now fully aware of Claire's duplicity, the stage was set for an explosive confrontation. Claire's carefully constructed world was beginning to crumble, and she could feel the walls closing in. As Victor plotted his next move, Nikki wrestled with her emotions. Despite everything, she still hoped Claire could be redeemed. But in Genoa City, redemption was never simple, and trust, once broken, was nearly impossible to rebuild. For Claire, the question was no longer whether her secrets would be exposed, it was how much damage would be done when they were. And as the Newman family prepared for the inevitable fallout, one thing was certain: Claire's loyalties would soon be tested like never before.